actually facing down the world's largest Jewish cemetery. People from all over the world ship their bodies to be buried in this particular cemetery, and all that's in the foreground there. And there's way more than that. I shot it, sort of at an angle, but it's at the one that's near the crest of the Mount of Olives, which is right across from Jerusalem. Makes a really good shot. And you can also see that Jerusalem is actually a hill. It's Mount Moriah right in this area. That's why it's such an expensive piece of real estate, so to speak. It's where the ancient temple was, right here with the gold dome, right here. It's an Islam, not a mosque, it's a trophy. If you want to look right here, it's actually the mosque. This is where they worship. That is just a hollow building that's over top of a rock. It's supposedly the rock that Muhammad jumped up into heaven a series of times, trying to figure out how many times you ought to pray. No kidding. That's what they say. And so it's so bumpy there because he had to jump several times. He had to kind of work his way down. It started like 100 times. You had to pray 100 times a day. We can't do that. And jump back up and back down. So I got it down to 5 times a day. That's no kidding. That's what they say. It's a trophy in that it took it away from the Jews, and that's exactly where their temple used to be. Exactly. And so that's just the way it is right at this moment in history anyway. If you look at Jesus' life as his ministry wound up or down, depending on your perspective, he's 3 years into ministry, and he takes his disciples down to Jerusalem for the last time on his earthly ministry. But he's going to be coming out of the Sea of Galilee area. Most of his work was done in this northern end up here with Capernaum. And then you're going to have a big town right here called Tiberias, which is still there today. It's an ancient city. And still there, Tiberius, obviously named after the Roman emperor. But he's going to bring them down, like all good Jews. They would go across the Jordan, and go down what is called the Transjordan, follow the river down, and cut across Jericho right here, and then start up toward Jerusalem. Now, if you're going up for any holy holiday, especially Passover, that kind of thing, you're going to be singing hymns as you go up. Now, and it is up, and it is hot, it is gross, coming out of Jericho, going up to Jerusalem. It's only about 13 miles, but you're gaining about 3,000 feet altitude, maybe even more. And it's some of the hottest, nastiest area. Actually, this is a green time of year that we're shooting this right here. And so you're going to have to go up these hills. And I mean, they're formidable. It is hot, it is dry, it is gross. This is up on the top of Masada, so you get an idea. These aren't little dinky hills. They're large hills. They take a tram up to Masada. The Dead Sea is in the background over here. As you go up, these are people. That's how you get a distance of how big this thing is. If you're into Masada in history, especially first century, this is actually one of the Roman garrison camps right here. It's so dry, nothing deteriorates there. On this particular day, it was 108 degrees, and the humidity was probably 10% or less. You don't even know it's hot because as soon as you perspire, it dries. And so you don't get sweaty and gross. It just is hot, real claustrophobic hot. It's just everything cooks right in you. And so the idea is, I want you to see, these are tall hills. It's not just a little dinky thing. They're formidable all the way around. Now, as you went up the hill, you needed something to occupy yourself. The same way that you see Army guys and stuff doing little cadences and all that kind of thing. There's 2 or 3 reasons for that. It gives camaraderie and all that. And also the sergeants know you're breathing. And so it's aerobic, not anaerobic. You're not holding your breath, but you're singing out the whole time. And they do that on purpose. Well, the same way as you're going up, you need something to occupy your mind. And so they sang songs, and they're called Songs of Ascents. And as they went up, it is in our Bible, Psalm 120 to about 134. If you look at it, it'll say a Psalm of David, Songs of Ascents. And that meant as you ascend up, you need something to do with yourself, and so we might as well get prep to go up and worship. So as we're singing, as they go up, Psalm 122 goes this: I was glad when they said to me, let us go to the house of the Lord. As you're going up and up and up and up. Okay? And on our feet, standing within the gates of Jerusalem. I love that. The gates of Jerusalem. And there are a ton of them. Okay? This is Zion Gate. You get a real quick idea as you go into these things. They're not just a gate. They're a place of commerce. They're a place of, at the time, of government activity, courts, officials. It would be a place that you will get an assembly together. There's little plazas around these gates. But Jerusalem's gates were extremely important. This is a gate, one of the most famous gates. It's the Damascus Gate. That's the Damascus Gate. You'll know that from the crucifixion sequence. In fact, it's right down the road. I took this and didn't even realize what I had till I got home. This is a garden tomb. In between the garden tomb and the Damascus Gate, I actually got it in the shot. It's that close. Golgotha is between those two. They barely got Jesus out of town. It blows the whole idea on a hill far away. It isn't. It's by the road, real close. That maybe not for a great song, but I mean, that's it. I mean, and that's why everyone could holler things to him, is because he was right by the road. And he was not on top of the hill, he was down near the road as you would pass by, so they could jeer and talk to him and all that and see him die close up. It makes it for a way more hideous fall all the way around. You even get gates like the Joppa Gate. I threw this one in here so that you might see it. Dummy me, I didn't have my history down real well. Jerusalem, as a viable, defendable city, went clear into the 67, the Six-Day War. You remember the Six-Day War? Those are bullet holes. Look at that. It's just riddled. Even in 1967, they're still shooting over there and putting pock marks into stone. They're not real good marksmen, but I mean, there you go. I love this gate. Yes, we were there. I took this shot, but it's the Lion Gate, hence the lions. Also, I took this one right here. They warn you all over the place. You know, the CCTVs, closed circuit televisions are everywhere. When you come into Israel, they do not stamp your passport. They do a biometric and a facial recognition shot of you, and they give you a little card with your pretty face on it and all that. And they monitor you the whole time you're in their country. We talked about, you know, careful with, and they said, don't feel bad, we profile everyone. We don't have to profile, we profile everyone. And everywhere you go, there's a monitor. You can see them sitting all over the place. They're following you around with facial recognition stuff. They know if you're at Masada, they know if you're in Galilee, they know they follow you around, and you're just registered for that many days. What's your tour? You know, that other day you've got to check in and make sure if you overstay your visa, so to speak, they want to know about it. One of my favorite gates. Yes, you can't read it there. It's the Dutton Gate. That'll go unsaid, all right? There we go. And it is downhill at the bottom of the sea. All right, enough of that. If you look at the most famous gate, it's called the Golden Gate or the Eastern Gate. It is the one that's not working. It's right here. It's plugged up, as it were. It's been since 1500s plugged up. It was from about 800 AD to about 1500, it was open, close, depending on what the Crusades were doing at the time. But then the Muslims finally took over and they plugged it up to keep Messiah out. To guarantee that, they not only plugged that up, they put their own Muslim cemetery right in front of it, where he wouldn't want to go through a Muslim cemetery to get to the gate. It's kind of, you know, across the way is the Jewish cemetery. Here's the one right in front of the gate. Okay? Now, if you look at that particular gate from one side and the other, this is the other side, the Mount of Olives side. This is the Garden of Gethsemane. This is where Jesus took his disciples on the last night to pray about him. And then they're also going to be able to see from this area across the Kidron Valley back to that gate that they would come out and go and find him. You can stand in the garden and see the gate. As they would come down with torches and stuff to get him, they had to go down. This is the deep valley. You come back up the valley to get him. So he knew that they were coming. If you go to that gate, you can actually get in. If you really have good guides and stuff and can get you in early in the morning. We have to be standing there at 6:30 in the morning to actually get in. They let a certain number of Gentiles into the plaza area where all the Muslim stuff is. But if you go, you look at that, this is the backside of the Golden Gate, okay, or the Eastern Gate. And yes, that guy is watching me. Right there. He is wondering what I'm taking pictures of. Thank you very much. Okay? I got a little teeny bit closer, but not much. I'm not real brave, but I want you to see that this is the inside of the gate. Boy, they watch. Man, do they watch. There we go. Now, you ready? Jerusalem is built, Psalm 122 says. Let's all go up and worship the Lord. Jerusalem was built, and it is a city that is compact together. Yes, it is. There we go. You ready? There's that quaint little Damascus gate. There it is. I mean, you think, well, this is really nice. I mean, they do lectures. They have little people sitting in these things. You know, it's some people, but it's not bad. This is on the, as you go through the gate and you look back on it, that's the other side of the gate. Yes, it is compact. Thank you very much. It is just plain stuff. Jerusalem is as crowded you want to be. All the way around. If you look at it, here it is. And this is just about half of the city. Mount Scopus is up here. And so all the way around, there's that gate I was telling you about. There's the Jewish cemetery. Here, I mean, that's the Muslim cemetery. Here's the Jewish one over here. And all this is crammed in together. If you go south of the city down there, you're going to get into the city of David. I did this so you can see that, you know, if you're afraid that your neighbor doesn't park real well, they don't park well either. I love it. Just pull right up on it. Now, what you don't know is major trucks and buses travel down that road. About an inch on both sides, and they fly right down through it. It's just amazing how crowded it is. This is across from the city of David. That's how it's just stacked right up the hillside, all the way around. I was kind of used to that in West Virginia. That's how we used to put trailer courts on the hillside. We just kind of carved them out. You had a real good mudslide, you lost them all. You know? One started it off with that. There we go. I remember the first time I took part in the West Virginia. Said, "You live like this?" I said, "Yes, we did. Thank you very much." It says in Psalm 122, where the tribes go up and the tribes of the Lord and the testimony of Israel to give thanks in the name of the Lord for the thrones that were set before judgment and the thrones of the house of David. Now, if you're going to talk about Jerusalem, you're going to be talking about David, King David, really quick. What I didn't realize till I got over there, because you don't put your history really together till you're confronted right with it, is that there is a city of David, okay? David the king, but David the king did not really build the city of David. He, you know, embellished it and he put a big palace in it. But Jerusalem was in existence prior to David. Only it was run by a whole different group. King Saul didn't run them out, the Jebusites. And the Jebusites were just impenetrable. You couldn't get up on that hill, Mount Moriah, in any way, shape, or form, and they knew it. And so they literally did the over here, you know, and you can't take us, you can't take us. David, smart guy all the way around, took spies and found out how are they getting water in and out of that city, and how are they traveling around and getting stuff without us seeing them do it. And he found there are caves that turn into kind of like passageways that they carved out in that area of the city of David. And you can actually go through those, and they, during the middle of the night, they took some of their elite troops and went in their own holes, so to speak, traveled through the tunnels, and they are narrow. I mean, it is a narrow tunnel. What you don't know is Hezekiah used these as a kind of a drawing map or kind of a blueprint, and dug underneath these into and brought the spring got home into the pool of Siloam, what I love, 1,500 feet through pure granite. And from one end to the other, without GPS, it's less than 2 feet drop from one end to the other. That is a pretty good feat for ancient times. Without GPS or anything, now it doesn't go straight. They do this, but I love the drop thing. It's less than 2 feet. Water still runs. If you're adventuresome and young and dumb, you can get up to your waist in water and actually go under where we were walking in water up to your waist and stay wet the rest of the day. So there you go. All right. Then you come into the actual city of David. The city of David, I'm going to show you on another illustration in just a minute, is what they call an ancient, look like a footprint. Okay, it looks like a foot set down. I tell them it looks a lot like Florida. It's like a peninsula. It comes down from where where the temple was, down the ridge, all the way up and down. That was the city of David. What I love with this was David's ancient temple, or not his temple, but his palace. This is where he lived. This is in the city of David. That's the actual wall up there. But this is going down. The wall went this way in his day. Okay, it's not that large. The city of David was not that large, but this was a large, modern place. In fact, it is so large and so modern. And I love where the scripture said the throne of David. Well, I got the throne. It is one of the most ancient commodes known to man. Right there. That's it. Even in ancient days, David had an inside toilet. Now look, there we go. In the middle of the city is the citadel, which means if last chance, this is where we go. This is the keep, so to speak. Here's the, Tolkien and all those guys. Okay. The idea is that this is where David would take his troops if it was overrun. Great military place. You can see King David's full thing right here. I love the ingenious part of this. You're going to see they're smart as smart can be for ancient warfare. This was a kill zone. They would force their enemies to come, drop down, come across, then have to come back up again. They have them completely vulnerable because this is sort of angled. It gives you an idea. If you were a real good athlete, you could take a run and go up it, you think. It gets increasingly tough at the top where it would slow you down enough that they can do point-blank range on you and kill you with a, spitwad from there. But they did a kill zone right here. So this is the citadel. You ready? That's what Jerusalem looks like. Now, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. That comes down for the centuries, not just going up songs of ascents. That is to us even today. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, that they may prosper who love you. Peace within your walls, prosperity within your palaces. Now that is like the Zionist movement where it's just the Star of David, we worship Israel. This is Yahweh, one true God of Israel. And then I love it, it says, for the sake of my brethren and companions. Okay? Now, I say to you, peace be within you, because the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good. This is a wonderful time to go to Israel because politically they like us right now. In fact, we moved our consulate turned to an actual embassy in Jerusalem. We had no idea. This was before our tour started. We got there a day early to kind of acclimate. It just worked out better for flights and stuff. So we had two couples. There was a group that was over there called Chosen People Ministry. It was like 600 folks from all over the world come together for Messianic Jews. And so we kind of piggybacked along with them. So we got buy power and all that kind of stuff. We weren't there by ourselves. We were there with a horde of people. But we didn't know. You're not supposed to go here. But we just caught a cab and went over there. It's like, hey, we're Americans. You should love us. It's just so good. They're all coming out. Why are you here? Got an appointment? No, we just stopped by to say hi to your ambassador, I loved it. For those folks who like flowers, they have a nice flower flag. It's upside down, but it's how you drive past it. So you can see it from the air as you go past. And, give you an idea, that's what the new embassy looks like. Not too many people get to take this picture. We weren't supposed to be there. It was so good. Yeah, we're dumb. Here we go. Little couple
guy comes out, he's fluent in Arabic and Hebrew and English. He's broken English. He's saying, da, 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 you know, don't take pictures over this way, it's a Palestinian area, don't take pictures this way, it's a Jewish quarter, don't, da, 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 da. And she's filming it the whole time, and he says, and for goodness sakes,